Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Jordan, and with me are Andrew, Devin, Shahzaib, and Daniel. On behalf of PricewaterhouseCoopers, we are here to provide some analysis and discuss the future of LMC Media and its subsidiary, Bell Games. As you all know, our lead partner, Alan Mofson, will not be joining us today because of the recent natural disaster in his home state. However, he has asked us to come here today and to speak with you and give our team's recommendations.
After communicating with your CEO and CFO, we understand that there are some current concerns you want us to address regarding Bell Games. Maureen specifically wanted us to address whether or not we are going to keep it, whether or not we're going to sell it, and whether or not we're going to invest more into this program. You see, at PwC, though, we are one firm, and with that, we have tapped into our global network and our management office in London, world headquarters, and contacted Radhika Nanda, Global Entertainment and Media Industry Marketing Executive. Now, he presented a very interesting forecast. That being, at the current pace, what we will see by 2013, online games is going to exceed that of the physical game market. This is further confirmed by the Wall Street Journal, which stated on April 27, 2011, like the music industry, the digital delivery of games is set to overtake the sales of physical products.
Despite the systematic downturn from the recession, however, what we're seeing is that the video game industry is growing in all sectors, not just in online games. There's been exponential growth in the industry in recent years, and not just in industrialized nations, also in developing countries like the BRIC economies, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. These trends are projected to continue. If LMC does want to get into the video game industry, now is the time, before the market becomes too oversaturated. As Marcel Finez, the PwC Hong Kong communications and entertainment leader, pointed out, video games, including console and PC games, will continue strong growth. 2006 revenues equal revenues taken in by U.S. theatrical box offices, approximately $9.5 billion. In 2010, video game revenues were actually 20% higher than U.S. box office revenues.
So now that we know how the industry is doing, let's take a look at the three options that we have. Now, the first option that LMC Media has is to leave things as they are and take a hands-off approach from Bell Games. Now, under this approach, LMC Media will invest an additional $80 million over the next 3 years and operate based on the time frame given by Mark Bell, which is to have the game ready for release by 2016. Now, this option can be highly profitable if Bell's Games has the next best technology, the next iPhone of the video game industry, which can make the company profits that could be astronomical. Second approach, secondly, this hands-off approach will allow LMC Media to focus its time and energy on the core business activities that it does and the recently acquired family theme park. On the flip side, however, LMC Media may be taking a huge risk by investing in something that it has limited knowledge on due to the fact that Bell Games is not being transparent about the operations and the finances of the company. I mean, the fact of the matter is, computer game industry is not LMC Media's core competency. And the violent attributes of the game that Mark Bell is producing does not coincide with the family values and the family brand image that LMC Media promotes. Secondly, the high turnover at Bell Games suggests that there are some managerial issues. Now, with these issues could cause delay or other problems with the launch of the product, and this will cause Bell Games to lose out on the first mover advantage. Now, as we all know, first mover advantage is what makes the money, which makes the company the most money. Now, if the company loses out on that, and other companies could come in and come up with similar or better products and sweep away all the profits. So keeping all of these factors in mind, the opportunity cost of investing an additional $80 million in BellSoft is really, really high because there are other options out there that we're going to discuss later that are less risky and more profitable. So hence, as a team, we conclude that leaving things as it is and taking a hands-off approach from Bell Games is not the best solution to your problem.
The second option presented is to sell off Bell Games. At this point, Hotbet Entertainment has offered us $50 million now, as well as 10% royalties over the life of the game. This option is contingent on Mark Bell getting his product ready in 18 months, something that seems not viable. If this option is exercised, we will see a small, immediate profit with variable extra profits in the future. Given the strong reputation of LMC, you might be able to get another offer in the future, but you can't always count on that. $50 million plus the royalties is going to be the minimum profit that you make now if you decide to sell. Selling the company will also allow LMC to focus more on its family-oriented brand image. However, by the looks of it, if it is invested correctly, this technology could become an extremely valuable part of LMC's intellectual property portfolio. That means that the overall potential benefits should not be overlooked.
The third and final option is to invest more heavily into Bell Games and the video game industry as a whole. Now, we understand Maureen personally called this venture a money pit. And of course, investing more into a relatively unknown manager could in fact present challenges. However, with healthy risks does bring forth the opportunity to have beyond healthy returns. You see, if you want to beat the market, the method is not to become fully diversified, but instead to invest in highly valued investments that, as a result of the loss in the efficient market hypothesis, similar to seen of that by Warren Buffett and Ben Graham in their investment strategies. Now, by investing in one of these manners and also encountering mergers and acquisitions, strategic equity alliances, joint ventures, or any other combination of financing, what you can take advantage of is an overall best practices and synergies across your business units as a result of this. Now, these aforementioned advantages may in fact seem to be enough on their own accord, but this combined with the cheap access to money in the market right now will allow Bell Games and LMC Media to further expand at this point in time. As a result of Ben Bernanke's quantitative easing 3, your issuing of bonds will be at the lowest ever in history, and as a result, you will not have to pay a lot of interest. And next, we will talk about the acquisition of Electronic Arts.
Now that we've taken a look at all the available options, we've seen that there's positives and negatives associated with each of them. Regardless of which one you pick, however, we hope that we've provided you with an in-depth look of where the video game market industry currently is. Looking at where the market is now and where it's headed, now is the time to invest. Now is the time to get involved into digital technologies such as cloud computing, online games, because the payoff could be very substantial. However, this needs to be done so lightly because you need to maintain your family brand image while also focusing on investing enough capital to make the venture successful. If this is done correctly, and if you do invest enough, we also suggest that you acquire other assets in order to make this a strong business segment.
In regards to expanding LMC into the gaming market, we believe that the best option to provide both structure and expertise is for LMC to use its vast resources to acquire an already existing and successful company. LMC Media, if you look at our reports, has been sitting on over $5.5 billion for the past 5 years, and it's only wise to invest this in a company that can help move Bell Games forward. At this point, Bell Games struggles with leadership and consistency. And our team has 2 recommendations. We've looked at a lot of companies, but 2 recommendations for potential companies that you might consider acquiring to help move Bell Games forward into the future. The first of these companies is Electronic Arts, which has over $4.8 billion in assets and is one of the largest video game companies in the world. It served as a pioneer in producing PC and console games such as Harry Potter, Star Wars, Tiger Woods PGA Tour, and even the massive online gaming site Pogo.com. According to our calculations, LMC has enough resources to acquire 51% of EA, a majority share, for approximately $2.2 billion, while still maintaining a ton of liquidity, more than enough for LMC operations to continue. EA is a strong choice because it's committed to developing the hip new innovations that enhance the gaming experience, similar to the mission of Bell Games. And EA is an American, family-centered company that focuses on excellence in their industry. Their knowledge of the overall industry will prove to be invaluable to the development of Bell Games. EA survived the ebbs and the flows of the economy and continues to prove time and time again that they are here to stay. Additionally, EA has the extensive experience in developing both online and first-person shooter games. This knowledge could enable Bell to realize their full potential with the current project, while at the same time allowing us to devote more resources towards the expansion of the budding technology to be used for more family-oriented games in the future.
A second option that we looked at is NCSoft. NCSoft currently develops massively multiplayer online role-playing games. Over the last few years, they have shown an extreme commitment to research and development, and they have greatly strengthened their global publishing. They currently have just over $1 billion in assets and 3,000 employees. They have proved to be on the cutting edge of research and development in the video game industry, and this is a mindset that would greatly improve Bell. However, we looked at numerous companies when doing this analysis, and we've presented on the best two. However, we highly recommend considering the acquisition of Electronic Arts. Electronic Arts is growing and provides the strongest asset base for fully developing the revolutionary technology that Bell possesses.
We have gathered here today to discuss the potential options for LMC Media and its recent acquisition of Bell Games, and basically our team was tasked with the main goal of providing recommendations and advice for their available options. We included some statistics and highlighted on how currently the video market currently stands. Also, we provided an informative analysis on the different options, which included option 1, we keep the company and invest additional $80 million. Option 2, we sell off the company. We gain $50 million from another company and have 10% royalties. And finally, 3, we expand further. We get into the business, the digital technology, and invest more.
Regardless of which of the 3 options that we choose, we feel that if invested in correctly, we're going to see a lot of profits with our new acquisition of Bell Games and family theme parks. However, our overarching recommendation is that LMC Media acquire 51% of Electronic Arts, which would give us effective control. By having EA, it brings the knowledge and the skill level needed to finish the technology that Bell Games is currently working on producing. Plus, it provides for platform access across multiple devices, including Xbox, Wii, PS3, PC, Android, and Apple products. Finally, we'd like to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to meet with you and provide some input, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
That was really, really good job, guys. Lots of well thought out ideas, and I like the concept of, I mean, obviously there's industry potential with the gaming environment, which, you know, we're kind of stuck with it now, got to do something with it. So I kind of like the idea of expanding it and working on it. The thing that would get interested in your input on is, you know, to get 51% control of a public company. I mean, that's going to take a lot of effort, a proxy battle potentially, you know, those kind of things, because I don't know who the shareholder base is of EA, but they may not want us to have a controlling interest, so that could be a difficult situation. And we've clearly got a leadership issue that we're very concerned about with Bell, with Mark, and obviously you hit on it, we've got managerial issues, there's turnover, so there's big issues there. Did you consider the possibility of, instead of acquiring EA Arts, maybe we might be able to pick off a couple of their key management people to acquire them to maybe help us grow our business? Is that something you might have thought about?
Right. So we understand that that is a legitimate concern, but what we felt overall was that since we had such a high turnover and our employees already working under Bell Games, that even if we were to acquire some of their employees, their management at that firm, and then bring them in, they would maybe once again leave. And as a result, it'd be an inefficient use of assets overall. In addition, we would have to buy out Peter Bell's contract if we wanted to replace him for $30 million. And we felt that that was steep, at least for now. We could wait another 3 years and deal with the problem of Peter at the time. But as far as acquiring EA overall, we get the best practices, we get the synergies across the board, tons of titles, and then effectively push out Peter in the years to come.
Kind of following back on what Andrew said, I mean, the leadership is set at the top, and Mark Bell is the head of this operation, the head of the company. He's the one with the idea. So unless we replace him, any other management that we bring under him is going to follow the same tracks that he's leading. So I don't know if just keep getting some key managers or some key people from EA or some other company is going to really help with our managerial issues.
And just to add a tiny little bit more follow-up to that, it's important to remember that right now, managerial issues are not the only problem we're having. Because when we look at it, sure, it looks like we've got a video game company right now with Bell Games. But really what we have is we've got a video game research company. Like, we don't know anything about selling or marketing any of these products. You look not only to EA, not only do they provide some expertise not only in developing video games and the managerial issues, but they also, I mean, they currently operate Pogo.com, which if you look at the number of hours spent on any given site site in America, that's one of the top 10 websites in America based on number of hours spent on it. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people use that video game site. They understand the expertise of how to run a huge thing like that, how to troubleshoot if there's problems, how to quickly analyze that. There's a lot of issues that just picking off a few managers might not be able to solve every problem very quickly, and we'd still have to be a growing company. The key part about acquiring companies such as NCSoft or EA is that we can have them focus on all the core attributes. We're not starting from square one and developing a video game company. To put it frankly, we'd be able to focus more on developing our technology and how we can apply it to already existing video game company like EA.
And to further follow up once again, the bit about acquiring EA overall, right now their stock price is about $13 per share. And what we see is this is a fairly fair value overall. It's not too high, not too low. They were at $70 per share just before the economic recession that we all experienced. And on this chart, what we see is this is EA, this is the S&P 500, and NASDAQ. And basically what happened is EA took a substantial hit during the recession. They had to write off a lot of bad assets, and overall, they took a huge hit. They are turning around now. They are in the black. They're no longer suffering substantial losses. And what we feel is if we take on 50.1% or 50.01% now and maintain effective control, we can get it at a relatively cheap price. Then in addition to this, what we see is the management is instituting a stock buyback program. So what will happen is our stock value will appreciate over time, just as speculative purposes. And in addition to that, we will maintain even more of a control overall, maybe to the sounds of 60%, 75% later on.
Oh, great, guys. That is good. No, it's good. Great thought. And what I really appreciate with everything you gave us today is a lot of data, a lot of support. The way you guys utilized the firm from a worldwide basis was very good. What I can tell you, you've hit on that here, so I'll go right to that question. Just to make sure I clarify, your recommendation for purchase is unique, but you alarmed me a little bit with respect to the future in the video game industry and some of your earlier slides. And the question being, and maybe you've hit on it here at the $13 a share price, but going out and acquiring somebody in what you described as a declining industry to really help us. With just seeing where you saw the benefits, and do you think that the price that we can get today is that the right price, even if it's only 51, if we can acquire at that level? Where are the synergies that you see helping our company today?
So we looked at over 25 companies when doing this analysis, and we thought that EA was the best, not only because they were priced that way, but because of their overall image, as well as we currently are a media company, and so we have those synergies. We have channels to promote their games and such and so forth. And we also now have theme parks. Those theme parks also, we can use the themes from EA games. We feel that those family-oriented games can also be a synergy there as well. Yes, acquiring the EA would cost a lot, but at $13 is currently a value. And as we showed before, the video game industry is growing after the recession. EA is definitely growing, and so they provide the best benefit when it comes to purchasing a company.
I think when you take a look at it, what we were showing with that early stuff from Radhika Nanda from the UK office is not at all that the video game industry is declining. As we talked about before, it's not only increasing in sales here in the United States, but you're seeing those countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, they're starting to buy those exponentially. And not just the physical sales, we're talking the online sales are increasing too, and those are overtaking the physical sales by a vast amount. Not merely based upon a decline in physical sales, but just such an increase in the online ones. I mean, you look at World of Warcraft, one of the most profitable video game companies of all time. I mean, and that's currently ongoing and still growing at a quick pace. We've seen the stock shares from EA drop in price during the recession. Those are starting to rebound, and we're seeing that sales of games are still going up exponentially. We don't at all see this as a declining industry. We see this as something that's taken a hit during the recession because it is, a want, not a need. Anytime in a recession, something like that is going to decline in, how much is bought, obviously. But now that that's over, it's starting to take back and growing exponentially, as we were talking about before. I mean, currently video game revenues are higher than U.S. box offices. I mean, that's something we currently operate, in the film industry a large amount, and this is an industry that's already starting to, jump on that and infringe on that amount of profitability and above that, and it's something that's still showing that it's continuing to grow. So we think now is the time more than ever to invest in that, especially in the digital realm as we're currently looking at with our
So maybe
current
where
things.
you were saying the declines in the console games and digital is what's
Yeah,
taking
we were,
off. So
and even then, it's not really a decline so much in console games, but such a vast increase in the online ones. The digital ones aren't tanking by any means. If you look, it was actually the second slide, right after the Radhikananda one, that was showing that, you know, console games are still just a little bit higher than they were, but it's the online ones, it's the mobile games, those are skyrocketing, just overtaking, because they're growing at such a quick rate. I mean, you think things like Farmville on iPhone, Words with Friends, things like that. And that's why it's good not only for us to invest in the console games that EA is currently working on. I mean, they run things like Pogo online games. Those are where the industry's growing. That's where we want to get in, work on new technologies like we're working on, and then take those new technologies not only for the digital sector, but also apply them to this other sector that's still maintaining pretty strong, and we can see huge profits on both sides.
And we typically see this across all next generation video gaming. When the Nintendo 64 was phasing out and they instituted the PS2 and also the GameCube and so on and so forth, EA stock took a hit. And what we're going to see, the next generation of video game consoles are coming out. We're seeing the Wii U comes out in about 10 days, and then Xbox and Sony will both be instituting their next version. As a result, people are not interested in buying as many games now because they want for the next console. They are saving their money, and then we'll be able to consume more in the future. As Devin pointed out, the online video game market is expanding rapidly. As we can see, the average person in the United States spends over $15 on MMOs each time they play. And so what that means, our stock price is less than what they spend per time. So if we have one good MMO, we're getting that return each time. It costs us no marginal cost to institute a video game on the digital realm. And once we encounter a front-end cost, our overhead, that's it. But each additional subscription costs us nothing but the server itself. So that's something else to take a look at.
great.
Good.
You're good? Guys, that was excellent. Looks like you
Yeah,
did a
really
little
good.
research. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.